GoodLife GPS, where we are committed to support you in finding the best path for your best life as your very best self. So, how can you be the best version of yourself, live the best life, and how can we support you with that path? And the way we do that here is I bring together the world's leading experts on everything. Could be the world's leading expert on nutrition. It could be on finances. It could be on relationships, breakthrough, overcoming, you name it. And so today is exactly one of those events where I'm bringing on an expert and a friend, which I don't often get to say. I work too much. I don't have enough friends, but I can say that Glenda is a friend. She's a sweet soul. We have interacted over years and we've seen each other on many occasions, just serving to the best of our ability in whatever the context of it is. And Glenda is a I would say a deep, rich, beautiful storyline and soul. This is a person who cares deeply, has been an overcomer and proven it. This is the kind of person, and let me ask you this, people. Would you like to know that there's someone in your life who will be there for you and won't lose their patience, won't give up, but will continue to be a part of your journey as long as you need that support? They're few and far between, and Glinda has done that in a compounded way, and she's just one of those people that I feel very comfortable and confident introducing her to anyone with my highest recommendation, and we're about to be blessed. So, before we get into the topic, I just wanted to say, Glenda, thank you so much for taking the time and for meeting with me and for serving our audience here on Good Life GPS.
Well, I consider this a real honor, James, and I'm thrilled that that I can come back after all these years. We haven't seen each other for a while,
Yes.
but also feel the same way about you too.
Mm,
Just a very great, beautiful soul that you are, and like very same when it comes to mindset. So
yes.
when you see that you're connecting with somebody who has the same type of thoughts and works the same with total honor.
Mm,
I honor you for that because unfortunately there's not enough of that today.
yes.
And like I believe my word is my bond.
Yes.
Like I could still do a handshake and that would do it, but unfortunately it doesn't work in today's world. But I was brought up that way,
Yes.
and that's what I have taught my children, and I believe that that's the world should be. So,
Amen.
let's move forward and talk about, because there's so much to talk about.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And but I do think that what we just experienced talking about each other is something that's worth highlighting, and that is this. Um, it may appear for those of you who are watching that when you're doing good, when you're doing right, when you're taking care of people, when you're honoring your commitment, when you're, doing all the quote unquote right things, you may not feel like people are paying attention. You may not feel like you're getting the accolades. Someone else is like the shiny ball syndrome, and they talk loud and they push hard, and they're the ones who are people are paying attention to. And that's fine, that's good. But what I want you to know is people are watching. And you know who's watching? The right people. The kindred souls who say, I'm looking for solid character people with whom I can build and grow and learn. And character is never lost, never wasted. Continue to doing right until the cows come home, because right will pay off over time. And so I just wanted to acknowledge you and thank you for that, Glenda. And it's a great message to all who are watching. Today, I'm hoping that we can talk about that intersection where someone says, okay, look, I did what society told me. I've spoken to many women who talk like this, and I'm sure men feel the same way, but I've heard it a lot from women. They'll say, okay, I did what I was told. I went to school. I was a good girl. Some guys would say I was a good boy, and I got the grades, and then I got the job, and then I got married, and then I had the kids, and then I took care of my spouse, and I took care of the kids, and then I took care of my parents, and I took care of my neighbors, and I took care of the church, and I volunteered at this, and I made the little cake or little pie for the church thing, and it's like I've been giving and giving and giving, and I really feel kind of spent, and I'm beginning to ask, will there be a point in life where it's about me? Will there be a point in life where I get to be who I'm wanting to be, feeling I am, where I get to spread my wings, where I get to really unleash whatever it is that's in me? A lot of these people would say, the world hasn't seen the best of me. The world has not seen, I haven't seen who I am. There's more to me. And I want to find it and I want to unleash it. And I want to bounce back from whatever circumstances I'm in. I want to be resilient and I want to step forward. And I believe this is something you know a great deal about. Maybe you can help me articulate that feeling. I know I put a lot of words in there, but this is your expertise. So what are the kinds of feelings or the signs that it's time to reinvent, to re-envision a new path? So help us out with that. What might be a trigger for someone to say, yeah, maybe I need this message?
So, there's so many times where we look at ourselves and we've gone through our first stage in life. And I call it first and second stage. So it's not about how old you have to be,
Hmm.
but you
Hmm.
go through a stage in life and maybe you've gone through a divorce and maybe your loved one has passed, or
Hmm.
maybe you've had that job in corporate world land, and you look and you say, is that all there is? And or maybe you're a
Yes.
whole, your kids have now gone off and then they're living their own life, and you keep looking at yourself and you know that there was more for you, but you never lived that more. And,
Mm.
or you look at yourself and you go, I'm in my 50s, but do I have to feel so old and so
Yes.
plump and so, like, I know that I could do more and all of this. So
Hmm.
it's that feeling of, maybe it's the inadequacy, maybe it's the fact that, that you've given your whole life of you giving, and it's like,
Hmm.
what about me?
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget there's me there and there. And so that's who I want to talk to. I want
Mm.
to talk to you, that feeling that maybe you're just feeling that you're right now, maybe not feeling like you're good enough, maybe you're smart enough, maybe you want to change careers, maybe you just want to bring back the zest in your life, the zest in your, even in your relationships. Maybe you just want to do something for you, but you don't know, first of all, maybe not know what you want.
Hmm.
And second of all, maybe you're still just sort of trying to find out how to get there, because it's really hard, the how, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we say. We don't need to know the how. We just need to sort of have a destination.
Hmm.
Well, I'm your destination. Let's put it that way.
I
And
love it.
how do I know that? It's because this is what I've gone through my whole life. You know, I've been the one who's looked after my entire family, and as a matter of fact, I still do.
Mm.
I'm a caregiver to two of my siblings that are special needs. I am, and I do it out of, not because I feel it's that I have to do it. I do it totally out of love.
Hmm.
If you're the one that your life is, maybe you're looking at, how do I get out of this relationship? Well, hello, I'm the one too. I was in a 14-year relationship, my second relationship, that I found out that the whole 14 years were lies. And instead of walking out the door, because the first time around I was made to feel horrible because I made the decision that somebody who didn't have the same values as I had, by, it's never about me, but it's always about being my true self and being a kind soul, and that they weren't. So I
Hmm.
needed to get out because I felt that I was living my own lie. And when I left, I was shoved in and out of court forever, and until one day I realized I was in $200,000 worth of debt because they had money and I didn't. And it wasn't until one day where I represented myself in court and said, nobody's listening to my words.
Mm.
Nobody's hearing what I'm going through. And most important, nobody's hearing what my poor children are being dragged through.
Yeah.
And I need to speak. And it was that day in court where my life changed. And then the second time around, where I knew what I didn't want to happen the first time to happen again the second time, So I planned when I found out my ex had been unfaithful for the entire time we were together, I quietly shut my emotions down. And I know, so I teach you these tools if you need to know them. And most importantly, I put my new life together while I was
Hmm.
still in my old life. It took me 9 months to get even a property sold and all the rest. And then started my new life before my ex even realized. And then I told him it was over.
Yes.
But, and then I started from a place of having, not from a place of not having for
Yes.
where I went through the first time.
Yes.
So I became instead of the victim, which I was the first time, I became the victor. And started my life with grace, with confidence, and building, and of course, bringing up my children to know that your life is your own. And you
Yes.
have to be responsible for yourself and don't let
Yes.
anybody else take your power away from you.
I love it. I love it. I want to jump in here because the sometimes an individual faced with either one of those two stories, the two scenarios, right? The two marriages. Some people will be triggered into thinking victim, victor, right? Or selfish or doormat or something. And I want you to know, no matter where you are, that you're not forced into these binary conversations. It is about self-respect. It is about wellness. It is about prioritizing the health of yourself and your kids and all considered. And it is not wrong to say that I matter. It is not wrong to say I'm going to do what is necessary to protect myself, my resources, my family. And I just want everyone to know that it is not required that you feel an adversarial, someone's going to get someone conversation, but it is possible to have a proactive mindset, as Glenda just said. She wasn't reactive because she had experience. She had some wisdom. She said, I will be proactive. I will take responsibility. I will take initiative. And I will be prepared for the moment it's time to say, this is over. And so that is wisdom, that is maturity. And I want you to know that if you have that professionally, personally, whether it's marriage or anything else, I want you to know that you are not alone. Glenda is one of those individuals who is more than happy to have a conversation with you to talk about where are you at and what is the pathway to freedom, safety, wellness, abundance, and to fully actualize who you are and why you're here. And there's nothing more selfless than enlightened self-interest. What I mean by that is if you live your best life as your best self, that's the best thing you can do for the planet. If you live your dream life, the world is better off, not worse off. It's not about taking, it's about creating and unleashing your giftedness and to find your giftedness, your strengths, abilities, competence, capacities, and unleash them in a way of profitably solving problems. And I just want everyone to be encouraged that it's not selfish to say, I matter. It's not selfish to say, it's important that I live my life. And I want you to be encouraged. We're talking about a very kind, giving soul, a professional woman who has found a way to honor herself and her wellness and not be on the wrong end of circumstance. And I want you to feel very good about saying, today I'm going to choose my best possible life and my best possible self, and I'm going to seek guidance on finding that path. And so I just wanted to highlight that. I know you were just getting warmed up, but I really want people to feel good about it. I want to feel,
And that's totally what we call self-respect.
yes.
Like we give away our power to others, we give away our respect to ourselves. And we
Hmm.
have to learn that it's not wrong. You're not wrong by doing what you know in your heart that is right. It's you're not take like for me, I don't take from others.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, give more, a lot more than I ever take.
Yes.
And like my whole world is about helping and supporting others through the
Hmm.
trying times. And that's one of my highlights of for some way, one of my gifts is I see through the struggle. I see, like when you're going through something, you got to have a destination. You don't
Yes.
have to know how to get there, but you have to sort of go, okay, this is where I'm going to end up. And then the rest sort of comes along the path.
Mhm.
But and not everybody knows where they want to end up. But
Right.
again, through my coaching and that's where I lead you to. But it's not like the whole thing is we got to learn to love ourselves.
Yes.
We got to learn to care for ourselves, and we got to learn because if we can do that for ourselves, then I'm hoping that I can show the way. Show
Yes.
the way that you can love yourself just that little bit more. The
Yes.
care that you can give to others. When like I mentioned it earlier at the point that, I caregive. For over
Yep.
35 years, I've been looking after my brothers. And through this love of helping them through their lives and caring for them, they've lived longer lives than you usually get. And I also now help families with special needs to help them start to think about the things you got to do as
Yep.
you're getting older and to prepare, because these are all things that just were flooded onto me through my life,
Hmm.
because my mom didn't protect, and she protected in her way, but she didn't do all the things to think of the future.
Yes.
So I'm talking to you from what I've lived through.
Yep.
And, yes, I am a certified life coach and that, but these are wisdoms of life.
Yes. And
And,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, and through the wisdoms, I put myself out there because I've learned so much and I've done so much. And I want to help somebody else not go through the struggle that
Yes.
I've been through.
Yeah. I think of us as an actual global community, whereas we're all going through things so that our lessons can be blessings to each other. I had a pastor at a church once say, uh, God has this thing called mixed up grace. And what he says, imagine this: everybody prays, and God says yes to everyone, but then God intentionally sends the prayer request to the wrong people, and so it's only in community that all of our prayers are answered. That God may have given you the overcoming wisdom. Someone may have given someone else the wealth wisdom. But together, we're complete. And I really like that. I wanted to go back when you were saying about having a vision, and you said this. You said you may not know exactly, what the perfect future vision looks like. And I just want to say it this way: you may not know where you want to go specifically, but you do know where you don't want to stay. I don't know what happily ever after looks like, but I know this ain't it. And so one thing I know: something's going to change, something's going to happen, and I'm going to be proactive about that. I'm going to get help, I'm going to get guidance, I'm going to have a plan, and I'm going to execute that plan, because I matter too, and it's the right thing to do for everybody. I wanted to say that. The other thing I wanted to say is, probably one of the first things, based on what you just shared, is one of the first parts of the journey as you help people to move from first of all recognizing, then reinventing, and then moving on to rising. There must be somewhere in there, pretty close, that a person must look at what must be undone so that I'm free to launch. Like, what are my current attachments? What are my current things, whether it's negative energy that I'm holding on to, commitments I'm locked into, relationships that are unhealthy? That must be part of the journey. That it's like, once you've faced something's got to change, creating some kind of a vision, at least to start with, and then to find a way to become free to begin that journey. Is that part of the work that you do to help people get free, get ready to launch?
So we have to acknowledge where we've been, and
Mm,
that is the start of it. So when we recognize on different levels. First of all, you got to recognize what you've been carrying since you've been a child. Most of our things that hit us are things that we like. As a child, was so to believe that I always had to be giving everything and never getting anything back. I had to
mm,
be the giver. I never landed on the list. The list of who got there
mm,
where. I was always at the bottom of the list because that's what I believed, right? That was what was modeled to me. So we all live with things that happen to us through our lives, and usually when we're small. So we got to first of all recognize where we've been, and we got to start doing some healing. So we go through that whole thing of recognizing what's holding you back, what are
Yes.
your beliefs? Because if we believe that we're not worthy enough to get it because something has happened in our lives, then you're not going to get anywhere because that's what's going to be holding you back. So we got to go
Hmm.
through, and that's part of the sessions that I do. You know, you've got to start looking at what's gone on in your life. You know,
Yes.
recognize the failures that we talked about earlier. You don't
Sure.
have failures; those are learnings. So yeah, if anyone can talk about failures, like I can write a whole book on failures. And it's okay because no wonder I consider myself to be a wise woman because I've had so
Yes.
many failures, but they're not
Yes.
failures. They are
Of course.
such involved in learns. So, you know, years ago when I had to restart my entire life ago because when I left that second relationship, I couldn't go back to working I was running his business. It was ours, but you know, I didn't want that part of life at all anymore. I had to restart. So I had to start learning. First of all, I had to forgive myself. I had to go through and give that love to
Yes.
me. I had to learn the things that were holding me back and how I gave my power away, not once, but a couple of times. And I had to forgive myself for that. And I had to believe that when I would always think that I'm not smart enough, I'm not gifted enough, that wow, I actually had more in me than I even gave myself
Yes.
credit for. And we all do. So, at that point, I started learning about investing in real estate and started doing it. And all of a sudden, there was a new world that unlocked
Yes.
for me. And that's what I want you to do is we got to go back because when we want to change something in our life, whether
Hmm.
it's your career, whether it's your relationship, whether it's you, whether it's your relationship with your kids or your family, we're not starting from scratch.
Hmm.
We have to look at ourselves that we have so much in us, but we got to learn to start touching. We have so many, gifts inside of us, but we never recognize them.
Yes.
And we knock ourselves down and hello, I'm the greatest one. But it took me years to get knocked down
Yes.
to realize that that wasn't being knocked down. That was my resurging. And that's where I became from, starting looking at your gifts, looking at your strengths, looking at
Yes.
previous careers, because through all those careers, you've done things.
And let me ask you this. I think this is something I really want everyone to hear this. Um, so tell me if this has been your experience that sometimes when you begin working with someone and you say, so what are your strengths and abilities, competence and capacities, like a CEO being handed a new company and you say, okay, what are we working with here? Like what do we got? What are we good at? What do we got? And people when they're starting out and they might still be struggling, they say, oh, I can't do anything. I have no skills. I'm too afraid to this. And then with your skills, being able to just ask the right questions until they begin to wake up to, oh my goodness, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that, I've overcome this, I built this, I created that. It's like people don't people have not been trained and allowed to acknowledge their strengths and abilities, competence, and capacities, like that unfair advantage, that unique strength, that discipline they've created, those skills they've honed over time. And if a person doesn't give themselves that, they can feel impoverished when they're not. They could be the most set up for success person in the world, but feel like it's hopeless. And it's okay that they're feeling that way, but just know you don't have to feel that way. You can come to see all of your strengths and abilities, competence, capacity. So I just wanted to ask you, is that something that you've really watched people just their eyes open up and they realize that they have so much going for them? Has that been your experience?
Very common, very common. We don't see who we are. We're been taught in life that we're not supposed to talk about ourselves. We've been taught that we're not supposed to be gloating about ourselves. look, it's important. I come to meet you. We're going to sit and have a conversation. I'm
Yes.
going to ask a million questions about you because
Yeah.
I want to understand who you are, what you're all about, and all the rest. That's people love to talk about themselves.
Yes.
But when you're coming to me in this, it's a different light of things because I need to understand, what positions you held, what type of things you do. Even if you've held no position, do you know
Hmm.
how much a mother, a wife, a mother, a woman does in a day
Hmm.
in her own
Yes.
house? I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years when my babies were babies, and I can tell you, I was probably one of the best engineers that there were.
Yeah, I've seen. Have you seen those job lists of a stay-at-home mom,
Yeah,
accountant, nutritionist, therapist? You of course,
you
there's a
name it.
list, a mile long of what that person, those skills that person has to master.
So here's the thing. We need to be able to understand that we can move into a new session in life
Yes.
and new segments, but we gotta understand of what we have. And
Yes.
and that's a technique. So, and that is part of the mission of what to do, to pull it out of you. You don't need to start figuring
Right.
how do I get this and all the rest.
Exactly.
I can pull that out of you by, our conversations and moving forward and establishing, the one thing.
Hmm.
What do you want?
Yeah. And have you found it interesting that sometimes people resist acknowledging their strengths and abilities, their capacities, their opportunities? Like it's almost like they've become into a not just a habit, but almost an addiction with powerlessness. And when you acknowledge their strengths, it takes a while to say, wait, yes. There's almost like, whose team are you on? Have you found that sometimes that you really
Well,
have to
yeah.
like, let's go through this?
And that's the whole thing. What we don't do, and that's part of what I teach you, because we've lost confidence in ourselves. And I don't care if you're a man, you're a woman, no matter who we're
Hmm.
talking to, it happens to everybody. And I've
Yes.
seen it happening, through the years. I was in corporate Canada. I worked for Shell Canada for 12
Hmm.
years. And I, worked with primarily all men in the marketing area where we worked in real estate. And I heard those men talking down about themselves and all the rest. And I'd sit there because I was like everybody's cheerleader. No, stop talking about yourself so low. Look what you do. You're doing this and you're doing this. And
Yes.
and that's what happens is we don't do it. So the whole idea is to start celebrating yourself.
Yes.
Like how many times do you have something good that happens? Oh, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's
Yeah.
not nothing. Everything that goes well, you should be celebrating. The day that you even get out of bed, there was a point in my life where I had a very bad injury happen and I couldn't even get out of bed.
Mm.
So, for 8 months, I had to learn how to walk again. Trump, for God's sakes, you got out of bed. Maybe you got out of bed a little bit earlier because you're going to start
Mhm.
exercising today and you're going to start making some changes in your life. Celebrate it.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and do it with a full heart. Not,
Yes.
I shouldn't tell anybody.
I love it. And I have a thing that I do, and I would love your opinion on it, for the context of the work that you do. And it might be counter, I might have an opinion on this that you say, no, I don't find that helpful. So feel free to correct me. But one of the things I've found helpful for people in my experience, in the way I've worked with people, is sometimes people feel like I'm so behind schedule. I've wasted 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I've wasted it. I was supposed to be that person. I was supposed to be this. I feel like I blew it. One of the things that I really work hard to do is to say, everything is perfect, everything's improving, and you are on schedule and you are on purpose. The fact that you thought you woulda, coulda, shoulda is not helpful and apparently not accurate. So how about we let that go and say, I am on schedule and I'm really excited to unleash the real me now. I've been investing 20, 30 years, you might say wasting, but I would prefer to say I've been investing that, becoming me. And now this person is ready to do the things that I've always dreamt of. It's now my time, and it's right and it's good. And I'm not behind schedule. I didn't blow it. This is what it is. And now. Now I'm excited about the future. Would you say that that's in alignment with the way you work with people and try to encourage people?
Well, should I say it's fabulously, incredibly perfect?
Ah,
Yes, yes, yes. It's how you should be talking to yourself, you know? Yeah, well, I should have a million
yeah.
things in my
Woulda,
life,
coulda,
but if you
shoulda.
keep
Yeah.
on shitting on yourselves, then
Yes.
you're going to get below and you're going to get down. Like, we're exactly where we need to be right now.
Mm.
And you know what? Like, at 66 years young, I'm just beginning
Just a
to
kid.
keep on and getting my voice out there. It's now
Yes.
my time to start helping others who have children who have disabilities, to help them, lead them into
Yes.
an easier form of life. It's my time now to start helping others to discover who they are and what geniuses that they're laying inside. This is my time now
I
to
love it.
let my voice be heard and to empower other people to love themselves, to get up, to, like, yes, you fall down. Well, hell, it's not what you fall
Yeah.
down, is it? How long are you going to stay down?
Now, I know we're gonna talk about this at the end, but I can't resist. If you're listening to Glenda and you're like, I need some of that. I need a cupful of that. I need a bucket of that. I need some Glenda in my life. You might feel like, you know what, Raymond Aaron, you and I know Raymond. Raymond says when you're in the fog, it's foggy. So it's like I might not see what I need to see about me. And Glenda might not see what Glenda would benefit seeing about herself, but I can see it in Glenda, and Glenda can see my stuff. And so it's not about superiority, it's about training and experience in being able to help someone in moments see what they might not see in decades, to be able to help you uncover your strengths in moments, to be able to see a pathway out that you just can't see. But that's not on you. You're not alone. And I know that I always ask my guests if they would be kind enough to offer something low cost or no cost, like a little PDF, a little outline or something. I always ask that. And the highest hope is that my guests would be willing to meet with people. And so this is awesome. But I just want you to know that like Glenda does a strategy call with people when she starts. It's a $500 meeting. It's 45 minutes, and it's let's take a look at your reality. Let's look at it from a new lens and begin to create a vision and a path. And that strategy call is worth 10 times the $500. But get this, if you're watching this right now, you can meet with Glenda at zero cost. She will do the full strategy call, which is way above and beyond the Call of Duty. It's one of the finest gifts that I've had a guest offer. And so you will be able to click on the link. It'll be in the description and go straight into Glenda's calendar, and she will meet with you and graciously hear you and help you feel heard, understood, accepted, respected, to be encouraged, and for you to see opportunities and strengths in you that you wouldn't otherwise see. So I just wanted to put that in there. People are like, oh, I'm taking notes, but I'm not sure if I'm getting it all and I want more. So is there anything else you want to say about that at the moment? I know we want to repeat it at the end, but is there anything else you want to add to, or if I blew it, about the strategy call that you're offering?
So first of all, I'm not great at selling, and I'm
Hmm.
not here to sell you something because
Uh-huh.
that's why most people won't book a call.
Yeah.
I'm here to give you something. I'm going to spend 45 minutes at least. Sometimes it goes over, so I always tell people to make sure you carve an hour out
Hmm. Hmm.
and talk to you. And if we decide that you're ready to commit to something and helping yourself, then I'm ready to work with you, and we both invest in each other.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is even if you're not able to invest at this particular time, I
Hmm.
will always make sure that I leave you with something concrete that will
Yes.
help you to move forward, because life is funny that if we don't take action in things happening, it goes off. It goes into the later, that pool that sits by your, in the sink there, that it's later. It's the later pool, so you just keep throwing things into that pool. Oh, I'll do it later. And that later, you'll notice your sink just filling up because you
Hmm.
keep adding that later and you don't do something to help yourself. Well, you know, it was just like I lived in a relationship that that was taking away my dignity, and
Mm,
it that later turned many years. And thank God I made sure that I left, but it was point is we have to take action, like if you're saying I should have done it years ago, okay, the
mhm,
best time to start was maybe 20 years ago, but
mhm.
now the best time to start is now.
Yeah.
So it's all about looking after yourself, because if once we become happier within ourselves, you know what happens? It goes all around your whole your being. Your
Mhm.
family becomes happier, your friends become happier. All of a sudden you're giving more of the you
Yes.
that is buried inside of you. We have to get rid of that person that's down there and bring them up, because
Yes.
that's who really needs it. So, it's all about bringing out the real you, and you can make those changes. It's Trust me, if I can do it, so can you. And that's
Mhm.
the whole analogy.
Yeah.
I do a podcast every week, and again, that started from, yes, I hesitated. Yes, I thought I couldn't do it. Yes, I was, afraid of speaking out and being the Lone Ranger out there. But
Mhm.
hey, 3 years in, I've been doing it consistently every Wednesday. I
Yeah.
bring on because I want to empower people to do more for themselves.
Yes.
We all get knocked down. That's what life is all
Yes.
about. And it's not the knockdowns. It's the getting up and moving forward.
Mhm. Yes. So I want to say then, um, here's my call to action to the audience. Number one, click on that link if you feel like resonant. Like, yeah, I do want to have a restart. I do want to be resilient. I do want to have. I want to reinvent myself. I want to have that. If that's you, then I encourage you to book your session with Glenda, and she is committed to making that gold and leaving you with gold. And if there's resonance moving forward, great. But if nothing else, giving you that time. So that's a huge gift. So do that. Second, let's plug the podcast. So where can people watch it, and when is it on, and what's it called?
It's on every single Wednesday, and it's on either Facebook Live, it's on LinkedIn under Glenda Kroll. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and on YouTube. And my YouTube is Reinventing Life After 50.
Hmm.
And so I'm all around, but everywhere else, like if you can't find me, go onto YouTube or LinkedIn, sorry, and you'll see me there on LinkedIn. And it's all about people telling their stories,
Hmm.
because for me, I want to tell you one of my stories, and it's a crazy story, but it's real, because I only talk about real stories. And it gives you a little bit about how important it is to keep on going.
Yes.
So, if I may, um, so many years ago, I was out with a group of people on business, and we went to Costa Rica. And after working many days on in our businesses, we decided to take a break and do an excursion. Like
Mm,
go
nice.
see things. So we went to the rainforest, and we had three options to go for horseback riding. Zip lining, or go on to an ATV. So I decided that I had never been on an ATV, so I decided that we had two choices to make. But I decided my first choice was to go on an ATV, because I had never been on one before.
Right.
So we're going on to the ATV, and they give you a few minutes just to go around in circles and get the gist, because everybody's driving their own car.
Yeah.
So as we're driving, and roads are pretty rocky, and we're going up this huge escarpment, and we're almost at the top. It's like on top of a mountain, basically.
Yes.
And I was like the second in line, and there was a whole line of people behind me.
Hmm.
And as I reached the top of it, I didn't know, but there was a big hole or crater in the road. And my tire went into that, and I went over the cliff.
Oh my.
And I have this, I actually, if you look through my, on my Facebook, you'll see, because when the anniversary comes up, I always show it again.
Mhm.
And as I'm flying over the cliff on this ATV, yes, I'm flying in the air, the car starts to turn over and down I go, and I go hard down on my back. And I'm wearing a pair of shorts, a tank top, and a helmet. That's it. And I land down right beside a bed of rocks.
Mhm.
And all I'm hearing is everyone in the background. I'm hearing the screaming, the horns honking,
Mhm.
but it
Sure.
sounds very distant.
Right.
But as I hit down and the machine just lands on top of me, and
Oh.
like as a second, I hear this voice that's screaming at me, and this voice is yelling at me, get up, get
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
And with that, I jump up. I had this incredible ability that I came up, and then once I did that, the machine went all the way down the hill and right to the end, and it burst into pieces. So that jumping up saved my life.
Wow.
And what happened from there is I got up, I dusted myself off,
Mhm.
and I only had a few scrapes and bruises, nothing much.
It's a miracle.
And within the hour, I was ziplining. Yeah. And
Not in
everybody,
intensive care, you're ziplining.
I'm ziplining, I'm going.
Oh my goodness.
And people go, and afterwards we get in the bus and we're going back and they're all talking about, Glenda's near miss of killing herself. And that's when I hit my epiphany in my life. My life has been about going over cliffs,
Mm.
falling down hard,
Yes.
jumping up, and I keep on going.
Wow.
That's me. And this is not the first time, like this was the first time I went over a cliff, and
Hopefully the last.
oh yeah, I'm not going that again. But it was my second time ziplining. But it's all about life. And so
Yes.
for me, it's when something happens to you, how long are you going to stay down?
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. When I left my 14-year relationship and had to restart, and my girlfriend and I have this thing of having our own pity parties, and we usually will give ourselves a day to have a pity party. And I said to my girlfriend when I was now in my new place with my kids and boxes all over the place, and she said, "Well, I'm giving you your day to have your pity party." And I said, "No, I think today, now in this circumstance, I'm going to need 2 days." And that's what I did. I gave myself those 2 days. Like, you got to feel what you've been through, and I
Yeah.
not everybody can do to that extent that I do. But what I'm saying about you got to feel the hurt of what's gone on in your life, but you
Mhm.
can't stay down. You got to get up, you got to dust yourself off, and you got to move forward.
Mhm.
And that's what I help you with.
That's
You
beautiful.
know, don't sit there and have those pity parties that you're down for days and months and
Yes.
years on end. That's a waste.
Yes. Yes. I love it. And all people have to do today is to say, "I'm worth a call." That's all they have to do is
That's
to
all they
say,
have to do.
"It's worth a
Yeah.
conversation. This nice lady has shown her heart, shown her sense of humor. Um, this has been encouraging. I hear a voice telling me this is me. It's time for me to reinvent. It's time for me to look at what is the next version of me, what is the full fruition of why I'm here." And all you have to do today is click on the link and book the conversation. And so you can just do that one little thing, and that one little thing will lead to a conversation. And who knows where that conversation will lead you? And it's one step at a time. And
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 baby
what
steps.
please?
Baby steps.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
Just
baby
do today
stepper.
what you can.
Just, you know what? You don't have to eat the whole chunk of the meat. You can take a little taste of it. Like, I lived my life through baby steps, and
Yes.
baby steps make huge jumps when you look back.
Yes.
But we don't have to do everything all at once. We don't need
Mhm.
to. If you're scared, instead of moving into something, we start dealing and doing it a different way. There's so many ways of looking at something. I was always a really big fan of, oh, now I'm going to forget his name.
Mhm.
Um, change the way you look at things, and the way you look at things will change.
Yeah, the things change. Yeah, and that
And
that
they
was,
did.
I believe that was Max Planck, the creator of. Oh no, wait.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's probably more than one person, but Max Planck, who is the creator, or the person who started quantum mechanics, he said when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it may have been someone else that who also said, but I know that quote came from him as well. Go ahead.
Wayne Dyer.
Yes, yes, Wayne Dyer, definitely. I know I can hear his voice saying it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
And so for today, everyone, I do want you to believe, at least be open to the possibility that the best version of you has not been unleashed yet, and it's ready, and it only requires your permission. And that permission can be as simple as saying, I'm going to talk to Glenda. And if she can wake me up, great. If that's all you're going to do is just, at least I'll book that conversation, then do that. And I want you to be encouraged that there is a beautiful future and it's yours. And you must choose it. You must choose to say, I choose to have that better life. I choose to open the door. I choose to have that conversation. I choose to be open to the idea that my dreams can come true. I'm open to the idea that life can get easy, that I can be loved, respected, honored, that I can be revered, that I can make an impact. I'm open to that. I'm not saying you have to have it all figured out, but today I strongly encourage you to be open to the idea and to book that phone call. That's what really resonates for me. And go ahead. And at some point, before we wrap, I want to start talking about what does creating a vision look like. I know we have a limited amount of time, but I did want to give you an opportunity to at least start that conversation and get people excited.
It's okay. We'll do that in a second, but I want
Yeah,
to change instead of that, I want to change it to say that you're worth it.
yeah.
What we don't do is thinking that we're worth it. And
Mm,
that's where we need to start learning that, whatever things that have gone wrong in your past, that's your past.
yeah,
And I'm hoping that that will be a part in a conversation, but you learn from that and it doesn't make you to who you are. So,
yes,
whether you screwed up in a relationship, whether you made somebody feel like I'm going to just be blunt, like a piece of
yeah,
shit, it doesn't matter. Is what I'm
yes,
saying is you're worth it no matter what. We can all
yes.
change and we can all have what we want. We can begin to look in the mirror and like what's looking back at us.
I love
That's
that.
what I want for everybody.
I love it. I love it. Can you give us a teaser? I know that that time is flying, but I would love to get a teaser of how can a person begin some steps towards formulating a vision that can inspire them and excite them and pull them forward? What advice can you give to myself and our listeners on crafting a vision, even just starting it? How in your experience do you help people start crafting a vision that can create some excitement?
So there's two things. First of all, I want you to start writing. These are things that it's all about writing. So it's whether you're journaling or you want to start making lists, start writing all the things that you love to do. Some of the things you maybe
Mm,
haven't even tried, but maybe some of the
yes.
things that you look at. If you look at a movie, you go, geez, I would love to try that. Because it's not of what we do all the time, but
Yes.
like I always suggest that people go out to different things and try things. Like I remember when I was first single, I started going to meetup groups and trying all different things because I don't know what I like if I've never
Yeah.
tried it. So you got nothing to lose and don't worry about nobody judging you. Like get out of
Yeah.
that part of life. So
Yeah.
start looking at things of
What do
what
you
would I
love?
like to do or what do you love to do now if you're already
Yeah.
doing some of the things. That is a real one thing. And then there's another thing that I go through with some of my people that, what do you want? Okay, I want this. Okay, then if you get that, what else do you want? And if you keep going down and going down further and further, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? You got to keep answering that question, but not repeating the same thing. And if I could get that, what would that mean to me? So what would I want? And if you keep going down, then you can a lot of times get to that downward session of really, what do you really want? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you always want to be happy. What will make you happy? What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I do this and this, yeah, that would change the things. Okay, if that does change things, then what would you want? How would you
Mm-hmm.
want to change that, to move that? So when we start really coming down, and it's not the one or two questions at the beginning. It's when you dive down and you keep
Yes.
asking, well, what do I want? What do I want? You know, that's really, how do you see yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And why can't you have what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can.
Yeah.
It's just, you keep on doing it. It shows up. Crazy things happen in life, and my life is full of it, of things that have happened. I've had crazy, wonderful miracles happen in my life, and you can have it too. But you
Mm.
just got to start figuring out, what do I want?
Yes. I love it. And for those of you who are watching this, I encourage you to do that literally, not an idea, not like I'll think of a few things, but actually grab a pen and a paper and just start scribbling and let yourself have fun. Invent a game. You can say, just for fun, let's pretend a genie said, whatever you can write in the next hour, you can have, just for fun to stimulate your brain. And then go, oh, and it doesn't matter if you start with, I want ice cream and I want to go to the moon and I want, to kiss Brad Pitt, not me, but some people might want to. Um, and so you just start, and it's not, you're not committed to it. You don't have to pursue any of these things. You're not expected to know how it would happen. At the moment, you're just beginning to tap into your true self by saying, what do I want? What do I love? And if I had that, what would that give me? What's the benefit of that? What's behind that, right? So why do I want that? And just keep playing. And if you'll do that exercise and book your appointment, you're going to be in great shape. Just to say, I began thinking about what a great life in the future might look like. And that will speed up the process for you. Just the acceptance of the possibility that your life can be magnificent. You can experience love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. You can be loved, honored, respect. You can be a difference maker. I don't know, and maybe you don't know, but be open to limitless possibilities, at least to be playful for now, and then let Glenda help you to craft that course. And again, you're going to have a 45-minute, no charge, no nothing. It's the value is far more than the $500, but you're paying nothing. You're given this as a gift, and it's a free strategy call where you get to meet Glenda in person. You get to talk to her,
Okay.
and then let that be the next step. So one step, right now, be open, start thinking about what you'd want, scribble some things down, and then book that meeting. And before we go, I know, Glenda, I apologize for, we both agreed that we were going to talk about the event that's coming out that we're both speaking at. And this is how we got reconnected, because we're both on this roster. And so it's top stars, experts from around the world. It's called the third annual Global Speakers Event. And Glenda and I have both been given free tickets to give away. And we're putting the link right into the chat. And you just click on that, so you get a free ticket. And the event runs from December 2nd to like the 19th.
Yeah.
And which day are you on?
I'm on the 19th. I'm your closing girl.
Woo! Bring it home. Grand finale.
Yeah.
Um, so you get more time with Glenda there. But click on that link. There's tons of magnificent speakers. We're thrilled. It's a great bunch of people, great organizer, great vibe. So you're going to love that, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So you've got a free ticket to the third annual Global Speakers event. You've got a free one-on-one with Glenda, and I encourage you to, like I said, be open to the possibilities and start envisioning. And that will serve you well. I want to hand it back to you, Glenda. Closing thoughts to encourage our viewers and
Yeah.
listeners, and get them moving forward.
So, first of all, yes. First of all, register for it, because it's days of all these wonderful speakers,
Yes.
and even though you can attend probably every single day, but find the day that work of the speakers that work. So happens
Hmm.
I'm the last day. I'm the 19th. I'm your closing,
Hmm.
but there's so many. And what I believe, so the universe answers all of our questions. you're going to find a day and put on a speaker to listen to, or many of the speakers during the time that you can go in there, and you'll find the one that you really need to hear because the universe
Hmm.
provides. So it's really crazy how it happens, because it always happens to me when I listen to a recording of somebody, of some of the people that I follow, and that, and it's crazy, but the right message always hits you. So I want you to really think of that and just go out to go in there, connect with other things.
Hmm.
It's all a part of, what, stop looking in the mirror and stop saying I wish. Your wish is your command. All you need to do is make it happen by taking action. Come and join us on through our the speakers platform, but come and join me. Come and meet me.
Yeah.
I don't bite. I'm really quite I'm really quite nice, but most importantly, my desire really is to help people to move forward in life. And it's about, creating something for yourself that will be magical, that make you happier. And like I said before, and I'm going to repeat it again, if you're happier within yourself, it comes around, and you all of a
Hmm.
sudden your glow makes your children happier, your husband, your wife, your partner, whatever that is, and the
Hmm.
people around you, because that's what it is. And don't you deserve it? Yes, you do. So stop playing with yourself and start taking action to make yourself and make your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like I already shared my age. You're not getting older. You can get better. It's about taking action and doing something for yourself.
Amen. And the world will be a better place for it.
Yeah.
It is right, it is good, and it is now. It's your time, my dear friends. So please do follow up, follow through with Glenda. Click on that link for the third annual Global Speakers event. Click on your opportunity to meet with Glenda personally. Please do that for yourself. And then feel free to follow up on Glenda on all the different platforms. You could go simply just to YouTube to watch the podcast Reinventing Life After 50, and that's a new episode every Wednesday comes out. So please, one and all, take advantage of this opportunity to connect with Glenda and your higher self and unleash the best possible you. Thank you so much, Glenda. You're always a blessing, and I appreciate you deeply.
Thank you so much, James. Me too. Thank you for having me.
God
Bye,
bless.
everybody.
Talk soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.